Hello everyone, I'm here today with a flip through video. I'm showing day one of my Chicago trip from October of 2024. So I have my opening page here. I did a full 4x8 pocket card, and then I have a sticker sheet specific to Chicago, so I used one of those up here. That kind of took care of the title, which was nice. I used some old Kelly Perky alpha stickers here to do that. Put on a little sequin, gold splattering, did a little bit of a gold metallic border here, and it was ready to go. Over here, I decided to highlight this Chicago item here that I saw when I came into Midway Airport, and it matched well with some other things I had, so I thought, why not? And I've flown into Midway before, but I've never noticed this sign. So I thought, all right, I'm going to highlight it this time just to showcase something, a fun piece of artwork. And then I went to where I was staying, dropped my bags, and my friend got there too. So we were both just like, okay, we dropped our stuff, we're ready to go out. So here we are walking to Goose Island, just some beautiful like sunset shots. And there's another sticker from that Chicago sheet that I have, and it matched. So I thought, okay, easy way to just kind of make a filler card there as part of the flip. Couple more photos from going over to Goose Island. So we're walking over the bridge here, and you can see what a beautiful sunset it was that night. And all I did was add this at the top. This is actually cut off from one of the ends of this because it was too long to fit. I had to trim it anyway, kept the extra, and it worked out well. And then here we went to Jack's Pumpkin Pop-Up, very Halloween themed, and almost all of the other layouts you're going to see are from there. I took so many photos when we were there. But I wanted just to have a simple 4x6 insert here showing that it was the beginning of those layouts. And this I actually pulled from online. I didn't get a good one out front that had a decent sign where there weren't people in it or just other things that were distracting. So I pulled this one online and used that instead. Just used pattern paper. This is a branding strip I had, and then some ephemera. Here's the back side of that single photo. Just some spider and spider web background stuff happening there on the paper. One big star embellishment, and that's all it needed really, because this was quite busy. And then on this side, just some random photos from inside. They had so many props and sets and things set up. So it was a lot to take in. And a lot of these are busy, multiple colors, multiple things happening in them. So all I wanted to do here was one piece of ephemera, and I chose to do that one because all of those colors were represented in here. For this next layout, it was very, very fall color coded. So I wanted to make sure I stuck with that. So I matched my background paper. I had this awesome card that was just perfect for that. And then all I did here was I stamped. Used a couple of enamel dots I had, and then over here I just added this little phrase, more enamel dots, and then I do have a flip on this one, and that's what you see underneath. This layout was so fun because I loved these kind of weird pumpkins. They were very unique, so I had to get pictures with them. I wanted to make sure that they were showcased here, and I had the perfect card to go with it because it just had two pumpkins. All the colors were in there. I did add this little strip here of paper that I had just to bring in some of that purple that was showing. And then I stamped that with, let me grab it here, this stamp set from Citrus Twist. And I used this quite a bit. Or wait, is this LA Studio? This might be LA Studio. It doesn't say on there. Well, one of those. I used this stamp set, and you'll see other stamping done throughout these layouts. Most of it came from this set. Here's just more of the displays that they had up, and I wanted to keep it very fall themed, so I went with this color scheme here, and then I happen to have this very cute 4x8 card. The only thing that was already on it was like this part. I added this. There was something else on the end. I think maybe it was a star, and I wanted a heart instead, so I covered it up with something that matched, and then I just had this phrase that said perfect, which was perfect. For this layout, I loved it because I got to use so much purple. I had this fun 4x8 card from a set, and all I did here was I did a little bit of metallic outlining here in silver, added some enamel dots there, all pretty small ones, because on this side, lots happening. I did those sequins, which I absolutely love how it turned out. Did a couple more enamel dots just to bring in some more of that, work in some of that color, and then one simple phrase. Over on this side, I got to use more purple. That's part of why I chose the sequins that I did, because I knew there was going to be purple on both sides. So I got to use some 4x3 horizontal photos and cards, which isn't that common. That was fun. And then this was just a digital file that I had. I had a bunch of these in one of the kits. This, I believe, comes from the same set as this. So it was cards and elements to it. So I just printed it out from the digital file and then punched them all out. And then here I actually had washi that was black and white striped that matched these lit up coffins. I thought, well, it would be dumb not to use it. That's the perfect thing to go there. So I did that. And again, added some enamel dots in colors that were featured throughout here. One phrase at the top, again, keeping it simple because there's a lot happening here. Lots of color, lots of busyness. So I felt like this was enough. For this layout, it was showcasing a fortune teller that they had set up. And I do have a flip on this one. So I just used a fun card that I thought had a good phrase given what was featured here. And then there was a little dot under there, just like a little circle. So I chose to actually use an enamel dot to bring in some of that purple. And then I had this fun pocket card. This is from a different set, I think. But I just loved that it had the magical books and the little potion. I thought that was fitting, so I used that as well. And then here I just did a quick phrase. Again, I kept a lot of the phrases very simple, like just one. I didn't double up on many. Just one was enough. Put my tag on there for a flip, and it was good. And then here I actually chose to do a very simple, just back-to-back 3x4 insert because I loved this photo that actually showed the state of Illinois and said Chicago. Drink in hand, of course. And then on this side, my friend and I posed in front of the big, bright pink Ouija board they had lit up. So fun. And then I just slapped that on there that says, creep it real. And then on this side, I was trying to match this. They don't go together necessarily, but I didn't want them to clash. So since I have this color, I thought, well, that works well with what I've got in the background. So I just used a scrap of this purple that I had. Did a little bit of stamping. I have some enamel items here. It actually came from this set, which is still on my desk. So I added that. And then I had this fun star background paper, which I thought was perfect for this sort of the night out theme and the city theme. It all works well, I think. And then more fall themed things happening. They had this little spot where you could sit down and have your photo taken, which my friend and I both did it. And then I just kind of slapped this on because there was a lot of dead space up here. Again, I did some metallic pen highlighting there. Put a little phrase here. But again, I've got drink in hand. I don't like many pictures of myself, but this one I did. So that's why I chose to do it as a full 4x8. And then over here, they had several houses that were actually done up in different ways. But this one was closest to where that was. So I featured that. And I love this that says, happy fall, y'all. And again, since everything was so busy, all I did was put one phrase on there. I liked that it had the little pennant and just for visual interest, and that one was done. And then this event actually had a corn maze, and we did it. The only bad part was it was kind of muddy. It must have rained like the day before because there was some standing water in a couple places, so we had to avoid that. But other than that, it was fine. And they had the corn stalks up quite high, so you really did feel like you were in a maze and had to figure your way out. So it was fun. We figured it out. We made it out just fine, but I wanted to showcase that they had one. And we actually did it because I don't think I had done one probably since my kids were a lot younger. And all I did was add this. It didn't need much else other than that. And then over here was just another random display that said fall in love, but fall themed with the heart. I thought it was very cute. And since there was this big green patch here, I thought, okay, I can find a green card, which I had. And it's not specific to Halloween necessarily, but it certainly works with what I've got going. And I just added on this pumpkin piece of ephemera. For this next layout, This was one where I actually ended up going back to it. When I did it originally, I had all of this on there, but not the pumpkin, because I felt like, oh, I don't want it to be too busy. But then when I looked at it, I felt like there was this huge blank space there and it looked weird. And it bothered me enough that I was like, you know what? I got to put something in there. So I did add this little piece here, but the rest of this was on here. I stamped again using that same set that I had. And so that one was pretty easy. For this layout, I wanted to showcase this particular picture. And I did it as a 4x3 horizontal. Not really thinking ahead. And then I put it on there. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of space to fill. And it looked very, very blank. So I decided just to do some layering there and one thing up here. And then I tried out my white gloss spray and it actually worked really well on this paper. And then for this one, this is another one of my favorites. We got 2 themed alcoholic drinks as part of our ticket package that we bought. So I wanted to showcase, hey, we're having these fun drinks. They were actually quite good. So you can see me there, obviously. And then I have a whole set of stickers. It's like a 6x6 sheet, I believe. Or maybe 8x8. But it's all about Halloween drinks. So I thought, well, that's perfect. So I used one of them here. So I didn't use a lot. I have plans for the others. But this is the one I used here. And then this side, really, I just needed something as filler. I didn't have a full 4x8 photo or anything. So I thought, well, I'll just put in something that's themed, that's fun. So I went with this one. I love the bright green. Slapped on this little thing that says boo. And then I found this witch shoe here. And again, I just did some metallic outlining. I'm not sure if the camera shows that up. I can see it there. Shows it up well or not. But I figured that was just enough to sort of fill that dead area down there. And for this layout, here's another one where I just really liked the photo. So I wanted to make sure that I gave it its due. I love that it has Chicago all lit up like that. And I just happened to have a phrase strip that said light the night, which is perfect for this. So this one came together super easily. I just ripped this dark blue paper that I had, added these pumpkin embellishments, and that was all it needed. And on this side, my friend actually got into one of the coffins that was sort of propped up, and it was in the Beetlejuice area. So I got a picture of her, and you got to go in with your drink, right? Managing all that stuff. Had to get a picture. And then it was more cause to use purple again because there were some purple tones here. So I did that. I printed this out as a digital element, and I just chose to kind of fussy cut around it, just to give it a little more visual interest. And then it needed to be outlined, otherwise it was white on white, and that did not look good. So this was my solution. And then here I had all these pictures of these giant pumpkins and gourds, and I just love the color. I love that there was an old Airstream trailer behind it. So I wanted to showcase that. I've got a flip here as well. So there are the other photos. I found this paper that matched really well. So I figured, why not put them all in there? And then I had just some standard twine that was brown, very natural looking. So I thought that fit well with these photos. And then I just poked a hole, punched it with my crocodile in this tag, slapped it on there, and it was done. Super easy. And then this is my last layout from day one. After we were done at Jack's, we headed back towards where we were staying. And we're like, you know what? We're so tired. We did a lot of walking. We had been drinking. We wanted something super simple for dinner. And I knew of Jimmy's because I had found that another time that I was in Chicago. So I'm like, that's walkable, like a block and a half. Let's go over there. So we went to Jimmy's. I got a gyro platter with some fries. It was delicious. All I did was slap this on there. And then the last flip of this section is I just talked about what we got, rated it. And then here I wanted to bring in some of the blue. I didn't have the exact blue as these, but it was close. And I love that it says, eat well, travel often. That's very much me. So I think that's a great way to end day one. Thanks for watching.